Hello, and welcome to this Hudl webinar that starts our new series on high-performance workflows in elite sport, specializing in global football. My name is Andreas Hofmann, Customer Solutions Consultant at our Customer Solutions and our Pro Service team here at Hudl. I had the pleasure to work since 12 years in the industry with a focus on elite sports. I studied sport management and communication, and during my study I already began working for the German FA, and I worked there for 10 years in various roles beside my job at Hudl. Next to that, I was working for several Bundesliga clubs, as well as containing for the DFL and also some other companies. Since 5 years, I'm working at Hudl and started as a product consultant. I'm happy to join the customer solutions team 2 years ago, and we are serving now, and I'm mainly focusing on the Central European area. Today, we'll be focusing on these two high-performance workflows: the live analysis and review for training, but also for matches. So, before I get started, I wanted you to think, how would you define what a high-performance workflow is? And how does a high-performance workflow look like in training scenarios as well in matches? If we think about live training analysis, I always wanted to start with the why. So why do I analyze the training? Is it because I want to analyze whether I train the game plan correctly? I train the game model, which I want to implement. Do I utilize technology there to feedback to the players? Do I want to develop the individual players? So what is the aim of my live training in general, but also the live training analysis? And who are the key personas which are involved within this process? And who does which role? So I think it's always important to think about who are the key responsibilities during a training process, be it for the head coach, be it for the assistant coach, for the performance analysis team, but also for the players. So how can I involve every stakeholder and every group respectively to come to bring it to the why. So what we can do with Hudl, and we want to improve that, and we want to support this process in order to maximize the player development, in order to maximize the team performance or the game model implementation. Within a high-performance workflow, you can always break it down into two areas. What is most important for me is how to make better decisions and how to improve what we see here on the x-axis or the y-axis, whether the insight and also or the efficiency. And we want to help you to identify the key information to support the decision-making process for each persona involved within the high-performance process, with today's focus on matches and training sessions. Furthermore, we want to help the coaches and players to forward and receive this information in the most efficient and effective way possibly. And we want to provide decision makers with our expertise and solutions to evaluate the club's performance in the best way. So we asked the clubs and also the performance analyst or whoever we talk to, the coaches, the scouting departments, first, where do you see yourself within that scale of insight versus efficiency? And we ask this for every single step. So what I want to ask you is, why do you think people should, or you as a club, should invest and trust in a technology inclusive culture? In my opinion, it's about how can we speed up processes. It's about how can we utilize data for more depth, more coverage, more tailored evidence-based decision-making. And also, how can we fulfill the need of every stakeholder within the performance process, and how we can make use of each member's strengths and responsibility. If we look on the high-performance process within training sessions, we split it, the training session up, or the live training session up, into different sections. So first of all, we can start with the infrastructure item. What resources do you have at your training facility? Be it cameras, be it personas, which personas can you involve? which network solutions can you use, how is the setup, what can you improve there, how can you facilitate at the end a live analysis of the training session, can you feedback it to the players. So I think it's important to re-evaluate it, see where do we have the resources, where do we invest. The sporting directors and decision makers need to buy in if there will be investment into cameras, for example, into a network, into a mobile system to feedback to the players. So everything involved there, we can help you to identify the solutions in order to facilitate the best possible feedback or the best possible analysis process within a training session. So I think it's really based on the objectives, and you can get a lot out of the analysis process within training sessions. And now I have some more information about how a high performance workflow in detail with our solution could look like. Here you see a design of how a training setup could look like for an analyst and for the respective role within a live training analysis workflow. The performance analyst could grab the feed of the focus camera or another camera directly via Hudl Sportscode and capture it. Capture multi-angle helps then to serve every group of the players. So helps to have the individual player, helps to have the goalkeepers, helps to have the team training session. Then there are respective code windows, and there can be a training code window with Sportscode in order to facilitate and create the content library, and of course to develop and create the output reports for the training session based on either an individual player approach or again let's say team section or a training section approach, as you might want to know how much time did I spend with transitions, how much time do I spend with a build-up, how much time did I spend within the sessions with breaks, for example, do I need to change something there? And then of course, being an analyst, I think it's key to animate, to illustrate these items via your playlist, via Studio. So when the players come back into the locker room or when the coaches want to review these scenes, they got already an animated scene and it sticks better to their head, and it's easier to receive this information you want to forward to the players. Again, we have Hudl Replay. You could use multiple devices. You could use on these devices multiple angles in order to give the dedicated feedback for the coaches, but also, of course, to the players. And you could forward this playlist you created based on this training session, where you might combine already selected scenes from the previous games or from the opponent together with just coded live scenes in order to forward it for the players as well as for the coaches to integrate it in the live feedback process. As a head coach, I think most important is that everything works. First of all, everything is reliable, and then we come back again to the item of infrastructure. But also it's important to train yourself. So what I hear from coaches is, okay, yeah, we think about doing live training feedback, but we don't know exactly when and how should we facilitate it. So take your time, feel free to sit with us together and really think, like, maybe do a step-by-step approach. Don't overwhelm it. Don't stress yourself too much. And it really depends on the goal and the setup of the training session. It could depend also, of course, on the weather conditions. It could depend on, let's say, the team composition. It could depend on whether you're on a winning road or whatever. But I think in general, it's important, if you want to go to that row, do it with consistency and train yourself in advance in order to utilize either the touchscreen, then all the field. Think about obstacles as well, which could occur during this process, and think about specifically, okay, which coach has which responsibility for which group of players or which item. I think this is key, and I think it's really important. It's like a communication process. It's like a funnel approach. who does what and when and how. And most important, of course, why do we provide the feedback for the training session? But I think I touched base on this a lot during the session. If we think about a cycle, we capture with the focus camera, with Hudl's focus from the focus camera, multi-angles. This could be also the flex camera, multi-angles with Hudl Sportscode, or also we could, of course, then add information via Hudl Coder. We see more and more coaches utilizing a phone, and you can do that from anywhere and add, if you're in the same network, add this clips and this information and these indices also to the live analysis process. Then, of course, utilizing Hudl Replay in order to provide feedback either for the coaches or for the players directly on the pitch, and also utilizing Studio to animate the scenes. So there's a study that I think more than 20% the players will recognize the key information you want to deliver as a coach while showing this clip if you animate or illustrate this clip respectively. And obviously sharing it via Hudl, so the players have the freedom to review and the coaches have the freedom to review, as well as the decision makers review the trainings, and also, of course, the output and the already tailored and dedicated clips for these persona groups. Let's dive deeper on how a live training analysis workflow looks like. Hereby, on the left side, you see a picture of the Focus Flex camera, which is connected via a router to the MacBook, where I directly can capture the respective angles. But more than that, it can be connected to an iPad, which can be shared to the bench. I want to provide you with a deeper look on the key facts and the benefits of the Hudl Focus camera, as well as the Flex one, so you understand on how it could help you during the training analysis process. First of all, the intelligence is within the camera, and this counts for the Flex camera as well as the fixed installed one. What I mean by that, we don't need an additional server, and all the process and AI process is done within the camera. That allows us to do an installation really quickly. So within like 3 or 4 minutes, Focus Flex camera, which you see here on the left side, can be set up, can be connected to a router, and can be ready for capture. How does that look like? Means ready for capture, I define via my app which angles should be recorded. I have the possibility to directly live upload it to my Hudl account, or even live stream it to, let's say, YouTube or whatever website you prefer to share the live training session as well as a game. For the focus camera, I have 4 angles: the auto tactical feed, the panorama, as well as the left and the right. For the flex ones, I have also the auto tactical feed as well as the left and the right ones, and the auto tactical is ready for capture in live. Live capturing for us means that the RTMP stream is ready within 0 to 0.5 seconds on your MacBook. So you don't need to wait until the video arrives. You can just code right away. You can share the information, the feed, as well as the data, and of course the connected ones, directly to the coaches, be it on the field or wherever in the world they are. You can make also use of remote coding processes. So imagine you'll code a game, someone codes or captures the game from the training ground or from the match, and someone else can actually utilize or add additional information. You can think about individual player development. You can think about additional resource to go maybe deeper, or to work on the quantitative aspect of the game as well as the training session. The camera can be directly connected, focus camera, to the game plan. That means can be connected to the match or training calendar. So all the recordings can be optimized if the camera is connected to internet all the time. For the flex, as it is the flexible one, you'll set it up, go to the training ground, and it will be first of all calibrated there. But this takes like 3 or 4 minutes. And I want to show you a little bit deeper on how a process can look like. So here you see the tripod, which we deliver right away with the camera within a comfortable bag, and the camera gets delivered within a comfortable backpack, which is also water resistant and weatherproof. Sorry. Then I connected it via a router to my MacBooks in order to capture and code live, so the coaches could have the possibility to have it right away on the training ground. And as you see here, there are multiple additional steps on how high I want to set the camera. So I think it goes up until 6 meters, and it can view from very close to the field until also far away. And we have resources if you are interested in to check these if it fits your needs on the website. It's important that the coaches want to access their respective scenes as fast as possible, as detailed as possible, and in the easiest way possible. So what we implemented is the find window, and I highly recommend to utilize the find window more and more, because not everyone saw our advanced version where you can really go into detail. So like I said here, I want to see all the defending of the space elements of a training session, or could be of course a game as well, of Fabian Barthez where he was involved. And you see also you can go either more in detail on the body part as well on which kind of save was it. So this is how you can, if you create a data with the subjective data with the code windows, you create this library, and you can not only search for again one training session or one game, but for every training session, every game, based on then the individual development plan, for example, for the player, or based on the team identity or the team game model, or your goals basically, and you have as a coach or as a player. And then what you cannot only do that post-match or post-training, but you can also do that live during the training. So within the timeline or on the timeline, you have these saved searches where you can use, for example, then the items defending the space of Barthez during that training session. Click on it, highlight the scenes, and you directly move them to an organizer in order to provide, for example, feedback for the player then in a drinking pause. So I think it's again important to think about each step within this process and of a training live session. And so I think it's important to think about each process of this live training analysis and evaluate it with us together. And we can help you to come from a red to yellow to green. And it's really up to you. Do you want more efficiency? Do you want to have more insight? And we have the tools, be it infrastructure orientated, be it working collaboratively as a team orientated, or be it utilizing the software more effectively in our solutions more effectively during the live training process. Let's go to the area of live match analysis. And how does a high performance workflow look like here? Again, we start with the why. We want to monitor the game plan and make collaborative decisions based on evidence faster than ever, leading to a winning performance. So I think it's important to think about, again, the responsibilities of each persona. How do we want to work collaboratively? Which resources can we use? Which technology can we use? As well as which resources in terms of external, be it data, be it video, and external resources can be utilized. So we want to help you to, similar to the training sessions, to make more informed decisions faster with the video and data leading within that process, and to help you success during the match. I think similar to a training process, it's again about how can we either bring more insight or be more efficient within the live match analysis process, to either get more efficient or more insights, or both, hopefully, to come from red to yellow to green. So I think it's key to really map out the stadium setup, inform yourself on away games, especially internationally, about how does the analysis position look like. Inform yourself about the coaching box, and be ready for obstacles. So be ready to be completely independent. If you have, I would say, independent solutions, try to use it, or try to get in touch, and best of the case, with us together with the league, in order to create the best setup possible for a live match analysis and high performance process. And what we see there is quite common right now, is having a dedicated network from the analysis position to the bench and to the locker room, and maybe not only to the locker room of the players, but also of the coaches. Now we'll have a look on how a high performance workflow looks like with our solutions. And I think there are 3 key areas we can think about within a high performance workflow, and I touched base on these beforehand. In our opinion, it's about these 3 items, and I start with the access, manage, and analyze data. So access the data, and means it includes the camera feeds, it includes third-party data, if you have it available, event and tracky data, combine it maybe even with the GPS data with Insight, and live import and connect Insight to manipulate the data with the video even. So to evaluate, do I reach the benchmarks during the game, and can I make use effectively and efficiently of the resources, of the data resources at the end I have. Insight helps then to automate this process and to forward this information to the analysts, who then funnel it down to the coaches on the bench. So I think it might be still important to add this subjective data via the code window or via notes, or filter it down via the playlist. Because I think the expertise of an analyst then makes a difference. So the analyst interpret on what's coming in, which dashboards I might have created via Insight or via Sportscode with the output reports, but they need to filter it and interpret it. What you see here is on the collaboratively, and this is then the second item, collaboratively identify the key information. We have a section about remote coding. So what we can do, and I come more deeper that in a moment, is that you can send the whole timeline, the video, to via Hudl to another location, and it could be, let's say, your home ground, or the home basically of this second analyst or another analyst or data analyst, where this person reviews the clips again, and the data and the video in a calm situation, and forward his or her information back to the field, back to the pitch for the analysts and the coaches. To then, as I said, collaboratively identify the key information together with the coaches. So there are different errors. So obviously you can share, and you should filter it down for the coaches, be it with a report, be it with a video and the respective scenes. So via Sportscode, you can decide what is getting sent to the replay iPad on the bench, or the different replay iPads on the bench. and be it on a video side, but also especially on the clip side. And then on the bench, you also have the freedom to create your own scenes via the tagging, the coaches tagging button, to review it, to switch between cameras, to zoom in within the app, to also do slow motion, to review the report. So I think in the future, as we have this big data sets and more live, it's about how to visualize and make it as easy as possible to evaluate the performance. And this can be done with a dashboard, but again, like with output reports on replay, also these dashboards should be connected directly to video scenes. So you see the kind of the truth within the scene, and then you can decide whether the information is valid and valuable, and you want to forward it maybe to the players or to the other coaching staff, or in birds maybe to the coach. As a third item is share key information live. It's not only about sharing this key information via replay, and again, we talk about different personas, but also share to the locker room live. So I hear more and more from locker room, from analysts. They are rethinking the process of sitting on the analysis position on the top, because then always they need to run down 5 minutes, they need to leave the spot earlier. So why don't I sit actually in the locker room or in the coach's room already, grabbing the camera feed there, collecting the data there, and then I might have one person sitting on the top who has the freedom of the view, and she is forwarding the information via Sportscode or via Coda then to the locker room. But the locker room person is already preparing the dedicated clips for the halftime, and maybe even animated with studio. So it's more visualized, and it doesn't sticks better for the coaches, and it's easier to understand for the coaches, and most important, of course, for the players. So rethinking this process, I think, is interesting, as we see it in other sports like ice hockey, like basketball, that this is really common, and there are obviously benefits. Be it again, we talked about insight and efficiency, and maybe there on the time pressure, you see some benefits of being already down on the locker room and either forwarding the information via live sharing or live collaborative coding with Sportscode, or just grabbing or capturing directly from the locker room, which is possible in some of the leagues we serve. Also, as I said before, it's important to map out each persona's responsibility, and as a coach, train yourself and think about the process on who's using the technology in which way. So how do I utilize replay on the bench? Which feeds do I want? As a goalkeeper, I might want to have the broadcast feed. As a medical department, I want to have the broadcast feed with only the respective scenes, and I want to have the freedom to tag the scenes when a player got injured. So now in some leagues, it's mandatory to review the clips, and replay could be a solution for that, as well as telling the analyst and knowing especially what is possible, which information can I get and can I receive from my analysis team down on the bench, with knowing what data is available, what feeds are available and should be available, and how can I get integrated into this process. So be it with the coach tagging, as well as, of course, the communication with the people on either the locker room or on the analysis position. And then as a coach and head and assistant coach, get trained on utilizing the live feedback process in the locker room in halftime. So be it with the touch screen, be it with the animated respective scenes, be it what we see more and more utilizing the Hudl Replay iPad, because like that you can go individually to a group of players to The goalkeeper can go to the goalkeeper, individual in calm, and the players are left in freedom in their zone, and you give more detailed and direct feedback for the players. All right. I touch base on Hudl Focus and Focus Flex, but I also want to touch base on Insight, our now 1-year-old tool, and I want to show you how it can impact the live analysis process. If we think about or what we see on that picture is from a game in one of the top tier leagues. And I think if you have the data, the big data sets or the data sets, it's up to you to utilize it, and it's up to you to bring it from big data, and everyone can decide themselves what is big data, to thick data. So utilizing the expertise of the experts, so meaning of the coaches, so to ask the coaches, or the coaches ask themselves what is important to the game, which metrics are key, which elements are key, how do I want to visualize it, how do I want to receive it, and how do I want to and can also manipulate it, the event data with the tracking data, and maybe even with the GPS data, and combine it with a video to create dashboards like you see here, to create maybe a formation setup, and not only formation in possession, but maybe formation in respective phases of the game. So low build up, high pressing, where I reach a certain line, how is the structure of the other team, where do I maybe have let's say the last 15 minutes I didn't perform as expected. And I think I see it more as a controlling tool, so really a controlling department. And this is what Insight can bring to you, to add this double check, add this additional information, and have it more tailored for then the different stakeholders, either on the field, but also on the tribune. So it could be used for decision makers like sporting directors, but most of course for the coaches, to double check their decisions, their thinkings, as well as their feedback for the players then. And as I said before, it's really, in my opinion, a collaborative approach. So utilizing Insight, you can think about utilizing remote coding basically, and this is what you see here. So with remote coding, I'll create a session on Sportscode with Insight as well, but mainly on Sportscode. I then say I want to live share this session, and not only within the stadium structure, infrastructure, but if I have internet data, I can share directly via the Hudl server to any point in the world. So I can grab it from any point of the world if I'm on the same team. So it's a secured process. Not everyone, of course, can make use of it. But I can receive it, for example, in my back office, and evaluate it and forward this information again to the field, and to be ready for halftime review, to be ready to make more tailored decisions on the field, and forward this information respectively. So I think it's as I said here, it's a collaborative approach in the decision-making process, and also the collaborative approach to win. And each persona can be involved within this process, and therefore it's important to utilize then these key stakeholders. And I want to ask you if you see any missing stakeholder group, let's say. And as I said before, I think more and more important will become the players. The players are, as you see on the left side with Carlo Ancelotti, coaches are more open to involve the players. The players are seeking also to get more involved, and the confidence then as an analysis staff comes when you have a backup solution, be maybe independent, check, double check, triple check, all the processes, train yourself on the processes together with the coaching staff, make the coaching staff aware if you implement something new, what could happen, and make the players aware of new processes as well, and do it really step by step. And as we all know, every coach is different, every player is different. So really think about how you want to forward this information, how you want to involve them to utilize every persona's strength of these key stakeholders within that process of, at the end, winning the game, which is the most important thing. All right, we spoke a lot about how important the processes are within the live match analysis. As you don't have the time, you need to make use of all the people involved, and you need to share responsibilities. And as I said, one responsibility is utilizing technology in order to help you with that. So if you think back about the funnel approach on live match analysis process, you would naturally start with what data do you have available and what resources. And with many leagues having live event data as well as live tracking data available, you can utilize your expertise and the expertise of the coaches and data scientists, for example, to bring the big data to thick data. So the experts at the end can interpret the manipulative data. And therefore, you can utilize insight, and I'll do some live demo on how the process could look like. So this is from a game where we utilized our camera in Pinatar. And what you have in Insight, you'll have the post-match, but you also have the live button. I hope you see it. I'll do it a little bit bigger. So we can utilize your provider. Then you can go straight away to dashboards. And then again, it's important to utilize the dashboard where you see all the items which are necessary right away. So what I did is our different dashboards for each section, and there could be a pure live with the match report only. But it's necessary that you utilize at the end this funnel to manipulate it, to identify key areas, for example, where do the shots come from, where do the chances get created from, who are the most effective and efficient player, who's out of the game. So I can do respective share the information to my coaches on the bench. What we can do though, for every dashboard as well as for every data table, we can define if this data table should be shared actually or should not be shared. So you see here, send all the data to Sportscode. You can decide that, or send the data only to Sportscode when capturing live. But you can also manipulate the data within there. We'll have the opportunity via our rules section to even more filter it down. So you define what is a low buildup, how does a low buildup looks like for you. You define, for example, what is a regain for you. You can define yourself the advanced codes to utilize your data people or utilize our consultancy in order to go into detail respective to your principles, to your game plan, and your terminology, as well as your wanted metrics. From the dashboards, there's a natural way you want to forward just the information which is needed, then to Sportscode, and I'll show you how that could look like. So I have a capture session running here. I have my data live importing on my timeline. And as we said before, you might want to utilize always the subjective data still, because there might be some missing items which you cannot get from event or tracking data. For example, a ball into the open foot, which is not possible as it's not coded by data providers. Utilizing my own code window, I can then add additional information and get added to my timeline. While doing this, I think it's important to limit additionally all the data to forward it. So for each code button, similar to the buttons I have or the data tables I have on Insight, I define, do I want to share them or not? And which one do I want to share? So I define for each code, for each label, yes, if this label is clicked, for example, halftime, I do want to share this clip. But if it's not clicked, or if I don't click it, it's not getting shared. What I want to do further, I want to even more filter down and make it easy for the end interpret to read and to understand. So they can interpret it much easier and much more profound. So by utilizing Sportscode output windows, you can easily filter down, for example, for shots, and then you can forward this to Hudl Replay. How do I do it? I'll create the output window and feel free to get in touch with us on that. I click on sharing. I share it to a respective folder. I can put the interval to 2 seconds and then just hit start exporting. This will then forward on my Replay iPad. And here I'll have the section reports where I can click on, and while clicking there, if I click on the 6-box shots, similar to Sportscode, I'll come right away to these 6-box shots and I can watch them again. So if you think about the process, as I said, it's important to utilize the data, to identify the data which is available, identify the resources, give responsibility to the experts to interpret it and to before and define what is needed and what is not needed, and also exchange with each other in order to create reports which are connected to video. So the interpreters, players, the coaches, but also decision makers can directly understand what they need from the game and whatnot. And how to, of course, then at the end do adjustments while the game is running, or be ready for post-match, for example, interviews, but also, of course, to be briefed as best as possible when speaking to players, when speaking to reporters, but also, of course, when speaking to themselves, and understanding on what went wrong and what could do better, but also, of course, also what went really good. I want to thank you very much for joining this high performance workflow series and the live session with me on the training and match live analysis process.